Test. Test. 1, 2, 3. Test.
I guess you should be listening. Hold on, Ed. I'm not listening.
Hang on, Ed. We're just
I just turned off my phone.
checking to see if we can hear.
Welcome, students and teachers, and thanks for joining us again for our annual Calgary Hitmen TELUS Be Brave event in celebration of Pink Shirt Day, which raises awareness for anti-bullying efforts across the world. And I am so excited to be here today to host this event. We've got great speakers. We're going to hear from our Calgary Hitmen. We're going to hear from special guest Tad Milmine. We're going to present some TELUS Be Brave, TELUS Wise content to help you with bullying and online bullying. And then, of course, this evening, we hope you join us at the Saddle Dome for the great game versus the Prince Albert Raiders. So today we're here to talk about bullying. So what is bullying? When we talk about bullying, we want to make sure that we know the difference between conflict, which is normal, and bullying, which is not. Okay? And conflict is when people have a difference of ideas or opinions that could lead to an argument sometimes. And conflict is something we can learn from. We don't always have to fight. Sometimes we can disagree and make our points and maybe learn a thing or two. And that's really where education happens when we solve conflicts. Bullying is different. Bullying is a repetitive behavior with a negative intent towards a person or group of people that often involves an imbalance of power. So think about a hockey fight, since we're talking about the Calgary Hitmen. In a hockey fight, oftentimes, two players will be solving a conflict. Unfortunately, they're doing it with their fists, but they have equal power to defend themselves. When we talk about bullying, the person being the victim of the bullying doesn't have the power to defend themselves. So there's an imbalance of power, there's repetition, and it's a negative behavior. So today we're going to try and call attention to some of those bullying behaviors that are unhealthy for our schools, our homes, our classrooms, and our sports teams. Right now, I want to throw it to the Calgary Hitmen for some of their beliefs and some of their thoughts on bullying.
I think bullying is when someone intentionally tries to cause emotional or physical harm to somebody else, trying to make them feel like they're less than, or trying to kind of assert their quote-unquote dominance over them, and it's something that we definitely need to, as a whole society, try to eliminate.
Bullying means to me when I see someone getting disrespected or treated in the wrong, and I feel like I need to step in and help that situation.
It means a single person or a group of people being picked on because of an imbalance of power in the group.
I think bullying, you see it around schools, hockey, whatever it is, but I think it's amongst the team and yourselves, kind of figure that out and then move forward, go to superiors or teachers, coaches, whatever it is, to resolve the issue. I mean, it's not part of the game anymore, it's not part of school, so we gotta get rid of it.
Yeah, I think bullying is definitely kind of being disingenuous to people and just not really respecting what they do with their life, because you never really know what's going on with them, and just kind of taking advantage whenever you can.
I think the best way to stop bullying is to try to step in yourself and even just take the person who's being bullied away from the situation and just talk to them and see how they're doing and see if there's anything you can do to help them in their situation, whatever they're going through.
I would find the conflict and find someone for help or ask someone for help.
I would tell a trusted adult and let them know that they're not alone in that situation.
I think it's important to try to step in. You can't just let those things slide. If you're a witness to bullying, try to step in. Assess the situation. I mean, if it's something that needs, someone of higher power, a teacher, a parent, a guardian, something like that, go get the support needed. But if you're able to assess the situation and handle it yourself, have a talk with the people. Ask what's going on, and bullying's never something that can continue to happen, so stop it at any cost.
Thanks to all our friends at the Calgary Hitmen, all the players, for taking some time out of their day to share some messages with you. Today's day is about ending bullying, and again, we want to thank all of you for joining us live today. I actually forgot to introduce myself. My name is Randy Chevrier, and I used to play football with the Calgary Stampeders. I'm currently a member of the Calgary Fire Department, and our fire department supports this day, and we want to encourage all of you to spread kindness as we try to end bullying. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is cyberbullying, and TELUS has created a TELUS Wise program to end bullying online. TELUS, being a sponsor of the Calgary Hitmen, are big supporters of this Be Brave Day, and they want to share some messages with you. So bullying can take place in many, many forms, okay? And one of those ways it could take place is online. So before we show you a video, I want to ask you to think about how you use technology. Do you use tablets? Do you use a phone? Do you use games? Do you use social media? And how do you act? Have you ever said a mean message? Have you ever heard a mean message online? Today is about thinking about the things you say and do and how they can affect others. And the way we realize how they affect others is by also realizing how it would affect us. So we want you to think before you say or do anything online that would cause harm to someone else. Now we're going to look at a video and show you just what we mean.
Do the right thing. When you're online, you have a lot of power. You can make people happy, make people laugh, even help people. You can make people sad too, and make their lives harder. It's all up to you. That's why it's important to think before you do, say, or post anything online. And to remember that everyone else online are people with feelings, just like you. When people send you pictures or videos, think carefully before you share them or tag them with a person's name. Don't download anything online that you haven't paid for and isn't being given away for free, just like you wouldn't steal something from a store offline. A lot of people hide behind the false screen they feel the internet provides. They say or post a lot of things because they don't have to face the person and feel protected. So they say a lot more offensive things online. Most people who do this on the internet think they're very tough and all that. But if you talk to them the next day in person about something they said you found hurtful or disrespectful, you might be surprised. That's what I've done, and they usually say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that." Even if you always make good choices while online, at times you might see someone else getting picked on. It's good to help, but before you do anything, make sure you know if and how that person wants help. If you don't, sometimes what you do to help might do more harm than good. If someone is picking on you, don't get involved in a fight. Stop talking to them. Save a copy of what they said or did and tell an adult you trust about it. Don't forget to tell an adult you trust if a choice you make goes wrong.
So we want to make sure that you're aware of how you are online. Some of you right now are still too young to be using social media online and some of the online apps, but soon you will be. And some of you joining us today in grades maybe 4, 5, or 6 are starting to use things like YouTube and TikTok and some online gaming. So we want to make sure you're safe, okay? We want to make sure that together we can end bullying. So I want to ask you, what is cyberbullying? I want you to think about that. Is cyberbullying just sending mean messages? Or is it receiving? Is it posting things to embarrass someone? Is it taking pictures and spreading them to your friends that might humiliate someone? Those are all types of behaviors that we call cyberbullying, okay? And we want you to be kind. We want you to share happy content. You know, share things like puppies and good, feel-good things like today's. Take a picture with your pink shirt on, and if you're on social media, say be kind, hashtag be brave, hashtag end bullying. You could do things like that to spread good news. Lift people up with positive comments, okay? That's the best way to feel good, is by making someone else feel good, and be respectful with people. We talked about conflict earlier. We talked about conflict being normal and natural. Not everyone's going to agree all the time. And after you have a discussion, even if you don't agree, you could still respect the other person's position and opinion without calling them mean names, okay? Always think before you act and consider how you would feel if the same thing was said about you, okay? We want to make sure that everyone together works to end bullying. If you're a parent or a teacher joining us today, up on the screen, you can see some free workshops at TELUS.com/wise workshops, and visit TELUS.com/wise to learn more. Okay, and on the screen there are some numbers for help, like the Kids Health Phone. You can either call or text to get help for kids. So with that, we want to bring in our guest speaker today. Okay, really awesome person, Tad Milmine. He's a constable with the Calgary Police Service. He's got a great story that will help us to understand the effects of bullying, and he's going to share that with you. So I want to welcome Tad in right now. I'm going to get up. Tad's going to walk in. Again, live TV, so we're seeing how this goes. Tad, thank you for sharing with us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, good morning. My name is Tad Milmine, and I'm a very proud Calgary police officer. It may seem when, pardon me, when you're someone such as myself and Randy, having being in these roles where as young people we can oftentimes look up and dream about being a firefighter, being a police officer, being a paramedic. But the thing is we don't get there by magic. We get there by having to work very hard, being devoted, being dedicated, and giving ourselves a chance. But for me, I didn't achieve my dream until much later in life. In fact, I wasn't able to achieve my dream until I was 32 years old. And I'll explain to you why. It's because when I was a little boy, when I was at school, I was bullied. And for me, bullying began with being called mean names. But as time went on, it didn't take very long before those mean names turned into being pushed in the hallway, or pushed into my locker, or the books knocked out of my hands. By the time I got to high school, it was even worse. It was the times that I'd be chased home from school and someone would hit me or push me from behind. But what was happening is all through those years at school, when these terrible things were happening to me, I always felt as though I was the only person ever to have been bullied. I thought it was just me. And I thought that if I reached out to somebody and if I told someone, that would only make it worse because no one would ever understand what it was like to be me. I now look back and I realize I couldn't have been more wrong. I now realize that there were people all around me that could have helped, but they couldn't help because I wasn't allowing them to help, because I wasn't even helping myself. I've now come to understand that as life goes on, if you want help, if you want to live happy, if you want to have the ability to succeed, sometimes you have to reach out. And sometimes the things that seem really obvious to us isn't obvious to others. And what I mean by that is that when I was being pushed in the hallways and I was feeling down and I was crying all the time at school, I always felt it should be really obvious to everybody that I was struggling, that I was being bullied. But the truth was, it wasn't obvious. Because as we all know, when people are calling us bad names or pushing us around, or as we get older saying mean things and doing mean things on the internet, it's very secretive. The people that are doing these negative things are doing so when they know they aren't being watched by adults. So when you get to be someone like me, and you're growing up with all of this going on, you genuinely think that people are going to notice what's happening, but you quickly realize no one's doing anything. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is no one helped me because I didn't help myself. One of the biggest mistakes I made growing up is I didn't reach out. I didn't speak up. I didn't ask anyone. I didn't tell anyone what was happening. So I left myself all alone to try to deal with it. And dealing with it on my own didn't work out so well. Here I am in front of you today, 47 years old, and I can recite every word I was called. I remember every incident that happened. I remember all of the feelings and emotions that I went through. I remember how rejected I felt, how alone I felt. And the reason why all of these are still so vivid to me is because I didn't get the help when I needed it most. Although today I've been strong enough to be able to reach out and speak up and offer those the same assistance that I wish I had when I was a young person, the thing is if I had only done the same thing that I suggest to you today when I was younger, maybe it'd be a little different. Maybe I would have believed in myself when I was younger. Perhaps I would have given myself a chance when I was younger to be the police officer that I always dreamt of. But no matter what I went through, I am trying very hard to turn my past into a positive. That's why I'm standing in front of you here this morning. I want you, if you have ever experienced anything negative, maybe today, maybe yesterday, or maybe down the road, I want you to remember that there's always someone out there that is willing to help. Whether it's your family, whether it's the administrators in your school, whether it's me, myself, we're all here to help. But none of us know that you're struggling or going through any challenges unless you are brave and strong enough to reach out and let us know that you need help. Being brave is one of the difficult things that we go through, but it's also one of the most noble and strongest things you can do. Reach out when you need help. Reach out when you're not feeling well. Make sure that others know, especially those that can help you, your family, as I mentioned, teachers, and of course myself. By all means, just know that if you can dream a dream, you can achieve your dream. For me, it took 32 years before I finally believed in myself to achieve that dream, and I couldn't be more proud of myself. The only thing I do wish looking back on life is that I had tried earlier. I wish I had gave myself a try. I wish I had believed in myself. I wish I knew I was strong enough to be able to do it. I kind of always thought that my dream would happen if someone else believed in me, if somebody else reached out and said, hey, let me help you with that. But I recognize now that as an adult, if you want to achieve a dream, it's up to you as an individual. Of course, you have the supports around you, but ultimately, it's only you that can achieve that dream because it's your dream. So whatever dream you have, whatever negativity that you're experiencing today, just know that if you fight hard enough, if you reach out and get the help that you deserve, anything is going to be possible. So I want to thank you for being a young person that can possibly grow to make a difference. I created this charity that I call Bullying Ends Here because of what I went through, because I'm trying to turn the negativity that I experienced as a young person into something positive. And I know that by speaking up and reaching out, as I'm doing today, right in front of you now, that it can lead to something positive. It can lead to you knowing that you're not alone, that there are people around that can help. So please, be brave, reach out, speak up, and if you see something going on that isn't right, let somebody know. Bystanders play a very important role, and that's the role of letting others know, especially the adults in your life, know that there's something going on. Because the victims, as you just heard from myself, chances are we're not going to reach out. That is so difficult for us to do. We need people like yourself to be our voices, to speak up. And chances are you won't end up being our voice. Odds are you're going to end up being our hero. So thanks so much for being such an awesome young person. And let's start today. Let's draw the line in the sand today, every day moving forward. Let's wear pink. Let's do pink things. Let's help others. Let's make this world a great place for all of us to be. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Tad. Appreciate you being here today. And again, Tad shared a fantastic message of kindness and accepting and making sure that we take responsibility for our actions. It's not often that the police and the fire department were together. We have a healthy rivalry. Sometimes we have disagreements, not conflict, but we like to, I guess, like brothers and sisters would playfully bug each other. But I am fully supportive of Tad's message. I know the fire department, the police department, all these organizations, none of them are perfect. Schools aren't perfect. Sports teams aren't perfect. But if the people in those organizations take steps like Tad is doing today, like I'm doing, like you're doing by attending today, we can help everyone around us with kindness. One of the organizations that does work to help spread kindness, to help spread the message of anti-bullying and respect and inclusion is Hockey Canada. And they produced this video called The Code.
From the moment we first put on skates, hockey teaches us integrity, character, sportsmanship, teamwork, perseverance, leadership, and above all, respect. Some call it hockey's code. It governs how we play, how we respond to adversity, how to win and lose with dignity. But what happens when we're off the ice? Outside the arena? These are things in life hockey's code doesn't cover. But maybe it should. Maybe hockey's code should become our code. The code. So that our conduct on a screen says as much about our character as our conduct on the ice. So that we stand up for those who need our help, like we stand up for our teammates. Because together, if we bring good sportsmanship on and off the ice, we can help end bullying.
We can help end bullying. We can help end bullying.
We can help end bullying.
Respect to me means, caring for one another, being kind to one another, treating others how you want to be treated, really. When you think about respecting someone else, that's what comes to mind for me.
I think definitely being genuine and just caring for others no matter what's going on in their life, and just kind of taking the extra step to be there for everybody.
Respect to me, I think someone giving them the credits due for the person they are and how they act and treat other people around them. And it's not something you just get, it's earned over time. That's what respect is to me, and I think for a lot of people.
A couple of great messages from Hockey Calgary, from the Hitmen, and those are all amplifying the message that we're trying to share with you. A message of respect, a message of inclusion, a message of empathy. Today is Pink Shirt Day. We realize that wearing a pink shirt and the messages that we spread today won't end bullying today. But if we get in the habit of doing good things, get in the habit of spreading kind messages, we can get there together, whether it's in our school, on our sports teams, or in our workplaces. It's our responsibility as individuals to make the place that we live, the places that we play, the places that we learn better for everyone. Now, I'm at the TELUS Be Brave kindness wall, and as we were going today, we encourage you to share messages with us on all our social media feeds, at the Hitman, using the TELUS Be Brave End Bullying hashtag. And if you do spread messages, we're going to post them up on our wall. And we've posted already a few from you. And we want you to keep sending them throughout the day, because we're going to fill this wall up. We have another presentation coming up right after this one, and we want to share some of those messages with kids that are even older than you. So let's keep those messages coming in. We want to fill this wall up with sticky notes, but I'm going to read some of yours right now. So one of the messages that was spread with us, this one says, "Kindness is giving hope to those who think they are alone in the world." And that's a great message. That was from SC. And I have to say, echoed by what Tad said, oftentimes people who are bullied, people who are victimized, feel like, what's wrong with me? And they don't realize that maybe other people are going through the same thing. And as Tad said, you feel like you're alone in the world. You feel like you're the only one experiencing that. And it's a very painful, isolating thing to feel. So great message from SC. I'm going to read another one here. Okay, this one's really nice. "No act of kindness goes to squander. Even the smallest amount can change someone's day." And I'll add to that, it can change someone's life. So even the smallest act of kindness, whether it's opening the door for someone, complimenting someone on their outfit, even a smile, can go such a long way in making someone's day better. And you all have the power to do those things. None of those gifts that you give people, those gifts of kindness, cost you anything. It's just doing it. And once you get into behavior and the habit of doing it, it becomes habit. It becomes just who you are. I'll read a couple more here. Let's see what we got. "Cherish the way you sparkle." And I think that's fantastic, because that's speaking to your individuality. That's speaking to something we just talked about. The things that make you special is your sparkle. The things that make you special is what make you you. It's what make the people around you love you for who you are. So cherish that. Okay, however you're different, whatever your talents and abilities are, celebrate those. Some of you are good at school, some of you are good at hockey, some of you are good at football or firefighting, some of you are good at the piano. All your blessings and talents should be celebrated, because that's what makes you unique. How about I do a couple of other ones? I like this one. Kindness is one size fits all. And I think that's amazing, because it doesn't matter if you're in kindergarten, it doesn't matter if you're in grade 6 or grade 7, grade 12, if you're an adult in the fire department, if you're a Hitman hockey player, kindness is something that we can all participate in. And really the beauty of it is that it costs us nothing to make someone's day better. Okay, and I'll read one more here. I like this one. I like this one because it speaks to you. Your children in school, you're learning to become whatever greatness you're going to be in life. Whether you become a hockey player, whether you become a teacher like the fantastic teachers that signed you up for this event today, whether you're a football player or a firefighter, I don't know what you're going to be, but you could choose to be anything. But while you're figuring that out, every day you can choose to be kind. And in a world when you can be anything, be kind. So we want you to keep those messages coming using our hashtag #EndBullying. Okay, we want you to join us tonight if you can down here at the Saddle Dome. The game starts at 6 p.m. versus the Prince Albert Raiders. If you show up at 5 to 6, we're going to have some great specials. Tickets are only $12. It's a special price ticket today. And if you come in, you're going to get a pink rally towel. We really would love for you to join us today for this fantastic event. We had such a great time today being in your classrooms, being with you. I wish I could see all of you and give you a big wave. I know I can't see you on the other side of the camera, but I'm sure you're waving. I want to thank Tad Milmine for coming in and sharing his story. We want to thank TELUS for their support and their TELUS Wise programming. Of course, the Calgary Fire Department, the fire department that I work for supporting this effort. And of course, the Calgary Hitmen for putting this fantastic effort on today. This event wouldn't be possible without them. So with that, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here early with us, going through probably a few technical difficulties, but this is the world we live in, and we're glad that you're here with us. We hope you continue to be kind and spread kindness in your classrooms and in your school today. Thanks so much. Good morning and welcome to our second annual TELUS Be Brave live event. In fact, this is our 5th year running, but the 2nd year for the event as you see it this morning. I'm Randy Chevrier, a community safety officer with the Calgary Fire Department, and our fire department and I am honored to be present for this event today, the TELUS Be Brave game and Be Brave educational event that you're about to witness this morning. This morning, we're going to be talking about respectful behaviors. We're going to be talking about inclusion and diversity and ways that we can make our community better. It's all in support of Pink Shirt Day, which is a national bully awareness day in which we acknowledge certain behaviors that may be taking place, whether it be in our schools, our homes, our sports teams, or workplace, and we try and make things a little better. Today, we are going to be talking about bullying. But before we can talk about bullying, we're going to talk about conflict. Because conflict is something that's natural and oftentimes gets mistaken for bullying. Conflict is when people have a difference of opinion. And everyone in this world thinks differently than everyone else. The person right next to you sitting in your classroom today thinks differently than you. And those differences are things that we can learn from. Oftentimes, those conflicts or differences in opinion lead to negative behaviors. And those negative behaviors need to be solved. When we have conflict, it's actually an opportunity to learn. Conflict is different in bullying than that bullying, there's an imbalance of power and there's repetitive behavior. So when we think about conflict, let's think about, for instance, a hockey fight. Since we're with the Calgary Hitmen today, think about a hockey fight. Two players are solving a difference of opinion on the ice, and they both have equal power to defend themselves. When we think about bullying, is a situation where one party, whether it's one person or a group of people, don't have the power to defend themselves. So bullying is much worse than conflict. Bullying can have long-lasting negative effects on people's mental health, both for the bullies and the people being bullied. Let's hear from our Calgary Hitmen on their thoughts on bullying.
I think bullying is when someone intentionally tries to cause emotional or physical harm to somebody else, trying to make them feel like they're less than, or trying to kind of assert their quote-unquote dominance over them, and it's something that we definitely need to, as a whole society, try to eliminate.
Bullying means to me when I see someone getting disrespected or treated in the wrong, and I feel like I need to step in and help that situation.
It means a single person or a group of people being picked on because of an imbalance of power in the group.
I think bullying, you see it around schools, hockey, whatever it is, but I think it's amongst the team and yourselves kind of figure that out and then move forward, go to superiors or teachers, coaches, whatever it is to resolve the issue. I mean, it's not part of the game anymore, it's not part of school, so we gotta get rid of it.
Yeah, I think bullying's definitely kind of being disingenuous to people and just not really respecting what they do with their life because you never really know what's going on with them, and just kind of taking advantage whenever you can.
I think the best way to stop bullying is to try to step in yourself and even just take the person who's being bullied away from the situation and just talk to them and see how they're doing and see if there's anything you can do to help them in their situation, whatever they're going through.
I would find the conflict and find someone for help or ask someone for help.
I would tell a trusted adult and let them know that they're not alone in that situation.
I think it's important to try to step in. You can't just let those things slide. If you're a witness to bullying, try to step in. Assess the situation. I mean, if it's something that needs, someone of higher power, a teacher, a parent, a guardian, something like that, go get the support needed. But if you're able to assess the situation and handle it yourself, have a talk with the people. Ask what's going on, and bullying's never something that can continue to happen, so stop it at any cost.
Thanks to all the awesome players from the Calgary Hitmen taking time from their preparation to share those messages with you. And just a reminder, the Hitmen are playing this evening, and we'd like to see you at the TELUS Be Brave game. Those guys have been practicing really hard. And tonight is going to be a great game with an early start, 6 o'clock puck drop. Doors open at 5, and from 5 to 6, you can get some special pricing on food that you couldn't find anywhere else. Special ticket tonight, $12 price. So if you got some friends and you're listening in today, you want to bring your family, today's a great day to come down and catch a Hitman game. Also want to thank TELUS. TELUS is one of the big supporters of this Be Brave event. They've been supporting it since the beginning 5 years ago, and every year their support allows us to educate and reach students across Canada. Last year's event had 45,000 students join us from across this great country, and we're hoping this year that we break that record. And speaking of TELUS, when we talk about bullying, there are many forms of bullying, and one of the forms that's really prevalent, especially in the last 2 years with the pandemic, has been the emergence of cyberbullying, more now than ever before. And TELUS has created a program, the TELUS Wise program, which basically educates us and hopefully allows us to identify some ways in which we can help in the online community. So one of the questions we ask is, what do you do online? You're all joining us from grade 7 to grade 12, so a huge scope in the differences in the way you use technology, whether it's online gaming, whether it's social media apps, whether it's streaming services, whether it's chat groups. However you use technology can also affect the way you or other people feel. Today, we're encouraging everyone to get on their social media apps and tag the event today with the end bullying hashtag. So hashtag end bullying or hashtag TELUS Be Brave. Send us a message of kindness, and we're going to share it on our kindness wall later. So while the presentation's going on today, if you have a little message of kindness, we're going to stick it up on our kindness wall. And later on in the program, I'll go to that wall and I will share some of your messages. So we use technology in many different ways, and we can be on many different platforms. So we ask ourselves, what is cyberbullying? Okay? And cyberbullying isn't just sending mean messages, but it's doing behaviors that may humiliate or embarrass people. It's being cruel. It's spreading hateful messages. That's all cyberbullying. And when you try to humiliate someone or make someone feel less, that's where we talk about that imbalance of power. Okay? So that negative behavior with a repetitive time span and that imbalance of power. And that's what cyberbullying is. So if you're doing that often, if you're on online games, saying mean words to people, and it doesn't always have to necessarily be to the same person to become a bullying behavior, but if you're doing that and you go online and you play online games, or you go on social media and you're only looking for negative things to say or spread, you're becoming a cyberbully. And we've seen a lot of that in the pandemic. So today is not just about attacking physical forms of bullying. It's about attacking it in all its places. And when we talk about cyberbullying, that is a huge problem in our society today. And hopefully today, when we talk about the awareness for Pink Shirt Day, it also makes us aware of our behaviors online. Do you know that 40% of youth have experienced cyberbullying and 52% witnessed it in the last 4 weeks? So half of the people tuning in today have witnessed cyberbullying, which says a lot about where we are and says a lot about how we need to be. What if you were a target? Okay, so what should you do if you're a target? The first thing is stop. Leave the situation. So if it's a chat group, if it's an online game, just leave. It's okay to leave and not listen to the noise. Block any messages from people that you don't know, or even people that you know that are consistently mean to you. That can kind of preserve your energy, we call it. So if you're being subjected to these negative vibes from people, especially online, you have the power to block it using your privacy settings, or even actually blocking a specific person. Now, if it keeps happening, if someone or a group of people is consistently being mean, saying rude, disrespectful, hateful, humiliating things, use that technology to record the evidence so that when you can go get some help, whether it's from a parent, a teacher, a coach, depending on what situation is, you need help. Oftentimes, the only way for this to truly end is to get help, okay? And you need some evidence to show them what's going on. And then, like I said, you need to talk to someone, okay? You need to talk to a trusted adult, a trusted friend, so you can get help, okay? You can't handle all your problems alone. And oftentimes, online, people feel isolated. They feel alone. People make them out to feel like they're undeserving of friendships or relationships. And you have people that care for you. But if they don't know what's going on, they can't help you. So stop, block, record, and talk. Those are just some tips that you can use. Okay? Together, we can end bullying. And I want to make sure that I remind you, if you're in classroom, hopefully even maybe just towards the end of this, that you could share some of those messages using that hashtag today. We want to fill up our wall of kindness. It'll be present at the game tonight, and we want to make sure that we see messages from you. Whoever you are, if you've got something to share, we want to share it on our wall of kindness, okay? What if you witness cyberbullying? So, we talked about what to do if you're a victim of it, but we said 52% of students that use online platforms, online technology, will witness cyberbullying. So half of you will see it happening to someone. What can you do? Well, you could lend a hand, reach out, offer support, ask how you can help, and if the person wants to be helped. Take a stand, report the content, okay? All those social media apps have anonymous ways you can report inappropriate content, and that's a way you can help someone. Act with tact, okay? Doesn't always have to be a conflict, doesn't always have to be an aggressive action to stop bullying. You can distract someone, you can use humor, okay? You can pull someone aside in a different conversation and ask how they're feeling. Or maybe talk to the person who's saying the mean things aside from the group, if you're in a group text or group chat, and ask them why they're doing that, and maybe kind of point out that it's not necessarily right. And then walk the talk. We can all say, hey, do this, but it starts with our own actions. It starts with how we treat people. It starts with those behaviors. Like I said, if you're consistently putting out negative messages, doesn't necessarily mean you're bullying one person, but you really are exhibiting those bullying behaviors, being rude and negative repetitively, the language you use. So take a stand and walk the talk, okay? What if you see something happening online and you're wondering, well, should I intervene or should I not, okay? 3 out of 5 youth think about doing or saying something, but oftentimes they don't. And 7 out of 10 youth, which is you, worry that it'll make them a target. Well, if you want to help and you're not sure how, you can go to TELUS.com/wise impact, and there's actually a decision-making tool that you can use that can help you to make the decision whether it's a good idea to help or how you can help. It's a really neat tool. It doesn't take very long to use, and sometimes if you need some help deciding where or how to make a decision, that tool there can help you, and it can help you to help someone. And so just ignoring a problem doesn't mean it goes away. And you're going to be thinking about it for a long time if you haven't gone through the steps. So if you're having a hard time deciding, use that tool, and it can give you a little bit of a clearer picture as to whether or not you should. Don't forget, okay, we want you to be kind online, okay? So today especially, and not only today, but let's make an emphasis today. Let's start today. Share kind and happy, feel-good content and posts. We want to see pictures and selfies of you in your classrooms with your pink shirts, with your best friends, with your buddies. Take some great pictures. Use the hashtag TELUSBeBrave. Use the hashtag end bullying, and let's see some of those pictures online. We're going to repost some of this stuff on the Hitmen social media channels. Lift others up with positive comments. It takes nothing for you to say something positive to someone, and you could change their day. Be respectful, even when you disagree. I'm sure that many of you, especially the older kids, are on some social media channels where you see what's going on in our world today. And some of us throw our hands up and say, well, how did we get here? Well, we got here because there's been a lack of respect when people disagree. Well, let's be the change makers. Let's create that country, that planet that we want to live in, where people can disagree and still respect each other and use good language. It doesn't have to get ugly every time we disagree with people. Let's make that change. It's always the youth that can really empower society. So let's do that. You have that power. And always think before you post something. Consider if you'd say that to someone's face in real life. And also think about what you're posting about yourself. Pictures and images. The things you say and do. People are looking at you. Some of you in grade 12, you're looking at jobs. The things you say and do online can last forever. We call it a footprint, okay? And your footprint online is not like a footprint in the sand or in the snow that just blows away. Your footprint online is like stepping in cement. And what you say and do towards others, or what you say and show about yourself, will be judged when you apply for university, when you apply for a job. If you want to go to the fire department, they will look at your social channels and they will discover who you are based solely on what you post online. So you have to think about those things. You have to think about who you want to become and how you want to present. Today is all about education. Today is all about making sure that you have tools when you go out into the world, into the online world, and you behave appropriately. If you're a parent or a teacher, there's so many access and workshops to help your students. TELUS.com/wise workshops can help you. All of this material is free. You can access posters for your classroom, things that help remind kids. TELUS.com/smart social to remind the students how to behave online, and a host of other amazing programs from the wonderful folks at TELUS. Teens, kids, if you're out there and you need help and you feel like there's no one to talk to, you feel like maybe you don't have a trusted adult, maybe you feel like you're going to be judged, or maybe you feel like the people around you don't understand you, that's normal and that's natural. There's also the Kids Help phone line, okay? People on the other end of a phone line trained to help you, okay? They're trained to be there for you. So that number, you can call or you can text TALK to the number on the screen there. Those are valuable resources for all of you to get through some of those tough times, okay? So with that, I want to bring in our guest speaker. I'm going to bring in our guest speaker, and his name is Tad Milmine. He's a CPS officer. He has a great story, an unfortunate story of bullying and what he went through as a child and a teen. But he shares this story not so that you feel sorry for him, but to show the strength that he's developed in his lifetime, to be able to not only live with what he went through and flourish, to show you that you're not alone if you are experiencing these things, but also to empower you all to make positive decisions in your community. So I'm going to welcome Tad. Tad, please come on up. The floor is yours. Thank you so much. They're eagerly awaiting your message.
Terrific. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Tad Milmine, and as you just heard, I'm a very proud Calgary Police Service officer. I've been a police officer now working downtown Calgary for the last 8.5 years. I started my career with the RCMP, working about 5.5 years in Surrey, BC. But I think one of the interesting things when I first introduce myself to someone and share that I've achieved my childhood dream of being a police officer, oftentimes one of the things that young people in particular think is that I just got here by magic. I've lived the perfect life. Everything just happened to turn out the way that I always envisioned it. But the truth is, just like most other adults, I have a story. And that story, as you're going to hear, isn't all that great. So I want to take you back when I was 5 years old. I still remember 3 really important things about myself when I was 5. The first one being this little boy that had the dream that I just mentioned about, that I wanted to grow up to be a police officer. If you had asked me when I was 5 years old, why? Why would you ever want to grow up to be a police officer? My answer would have been simple. I would have looked up at you with a big smile on my face and I would have said, because when I grow up, I want to be able to help people. The second thing I remember is that my mom and dad, they hated each other. They were being very, very mean and cruel to one another. So eventually they made the adult decision to get a divorce. And the way the divorce worked in my house was very straightforward. I was only 5, so I simply stayed in that house with my father. It was my mom who was the one to leave. My mom left, and I didn't see her again for the better part of the next 15 years. Obviously, at that time, I had no idea this is the way it was going to turn out, but that's just simply the way it was. And as I mentioned, I was left in that house with my father, and I should share a bit about my dad because my dad's an alcoholic. And I know that sometimes, especially being an older young person that you are, when we hear a word like that, sometimes we have a pretty negative understanding of what that might represent to you. And yes, there are some people out there that when they drink too much alcohol, they do things that they should never have done before, but that was never applicable to my father. My dad was still a very caring, kind, loving individual. But the problem for my dad was that when there was something going on in his life, when he should have been talking about it, communicating, or addressing those issues, he wasn't comfortable doing so. What he would do instead is he would turn to the alcohol, and he would hope that all of those issues, those challenges in his life, somehow would just go away all by themselves. So you're going to hear in just a couple of moments how that played a terrible role for me growing up. But the last thing I remember about being 5, and don't be fooled with what you think you see in front of you right now, is the fact that I was growing in to be this horrifically introverted young person. I mean, I used to be so exceptionally shy that when I was your age, and even a lot older, if someone had walked up to me to say hi or to be kind or even just want to be my friend, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with that. I was so shy and afraid of people that I couldn't even say hi. So what I'd always do is keep my head down and do everything I could just to avoid those situations. But being that shy wasn't my only obstacle. Because when I was your age, if I was ever feeling any type of adverse emotion, whether that be anger, sadness, disappointment, fear, anything like that, my body was always going to react by crying. But when I say crying, I don't mean that little tear on your cheek and you quickly wipe it away before anyone sees, because that is not the crying I did. I did the ugly cry, with Niagara Falls coming out of every orifice in my face. That's the crying I did, that I did every day, many times a day, from the age of 5 all the way through until I was about 17 years old. But being that shy was one of the biggest challenges I had when I was in school, because when I was a young person and not being able to interact with others, that's when bullying started. And for me, it did start with the bad names. I was called everything under the sun, and I'm just talking about grades K to 6. It was when I got to junior high, grades 7 and 8, that's when bullying would change. It would become more physical. It would be the tripping in the hallway, the pushed into my locker. By the time I got to high school, it was even worse yet, because those were the days I'd be pushed down the school steps. My hair would be pulled out. I'd be chased home from school and hit from behind. But I'll share with you what I did to remedy all this, how I went about addressing it. And that is, I did absolutely nothing about it at all. I didn't reach out. I didn't speak up. I didn't stand up for myself. I did absolutely nothing about it. And the reason for that is actually very simple, is as I was the only person. I genuinely, for many years growing up, believed that I was the only person in the world that has ever experienced bullying, that has ever been pushed around or tossed around or called bad names. It was only me. But the thing is, I also didn't have an outlet when I went home at night. Because unfortunately, just after that divorce that I mentioned a few minutes earlier, my dad had met a new woman that he invited to live in my home. And for her, she hated me. I know that. I know that then. I know that to this day, because when she moved into my life, she had some extreme rules. The first one being the worst one, this one that affected me the longest and still affects me to this day. That rule was going to be that from that day forward, she was going to lock me in the basement of my house. Now, to give an idea of what this basement looked like, it's not a man cave by any way of imagination. It was a very simple concrete foundation. It was a cement floor, cement walls, one light bulb in the ceiling that sometimes worked, but more often than not, it didn't. No heat, no air conditioning. I wasn't allowed any toys, no electronics. The only thing, for whatever reason, I still don't know why, that I was allowed down there is a very small little television, a couple of antenna on top. And the way I knew if it was decent outside was because on TV, I was lucky enough to get 1, maybe 2 channels that would come in. So for me growing up, not only was I struggling with abuse and neglect at home, being locked in that dungeon every day, but when I went to school, I was feeling the abuse and trauma of being bullied. And of course, as you can imagine, with someone like myself that's holding it in for all those years, I had some side effects, and one of the major ones was struggling with mental illness. Because I didn't reach out, because I didn't speak up, because I didn't afford myself the help that I needed so badly, I was struggling in silence by myself. And as years went on, hoping that it would just go away by itself, a lesson I'd kind of been taught from my dad for all those years, I learned that it wasn't going to go away. Until I stood up for myself and got the help that I desperately needed, I was going to forever struggle. I guess for me, the turning point was I had to start loving myself. I had to find myself. I had to believe in myself. And eventually I had to try. Hanging on to that dream of being a police officer for me was arguably what kept me alive for all of those years. It was what I always envisioned. I wanted to grow up so that when I was an adult, I'd be able to help people. I'm very proud of the role I play in society nowadays with being a police officer. But for me, that wasn't enough. I still wanted to do more. I knew that my story was going to resonate with young people in particular, because there are young people today that still feel the exact same way that I felt so many years ago. Alone, rejected, that we are the only person under the sun to feel the way that we are feeling. And if we dare speak out, it's just going to make it worse. I know how you're feeling, because I went through every one of my years of schooling feeling that way, even into my young adult life. I'm sitting in front of you today appealing to those that are struggling to please be brave. Reach out. Give yourself a chance. What you are struggling with may seem very obvious to you, but what is around you is not necessarily obvious. What other people are observing taking place to you may not be the same way that you are actually interpreting what is happening to you, your lived experience. You need to reach out. You need to confide in someone. You need to get the help right now. So I'm challenging everyone. Today, at the end of this day, use a day like today, Pink Shirt Day, the TELUS Be Brave event. Nothing better than a day like today to start. When you go home tonight, take a look in the mirror at yourself. Ask yourself, was I the very best person that I could have been today? And that's when you begin to challenge yourself by reflecting on what you did today, the things you saw, the things that you didn't do, the things that you didn't say, and challenge yourself that tomorrow I'm going to be better. Tomorrow I'm going to speak up and I'm going to do something to help that person. Tomorrow I'm going to reach out and I'm going to get the help that I deserve, because tomorrow I may not just be someone's voice. Tomorrow, I may end up being someone's hero. And that's exactly why I created my charity, where I speak about exactly as I have with you today. I speak openly about what I went through, how I felt, how I'm still dealing with it, how I still find the strength every day to be brave, to share my story in hopes of helping those that need it most. So please, challenge yourself that tomorrow you're going to be better. Tomorrow you're going to do those positive things. Tomorrow you're going to be a leader. And I can assure you, if every one of us takes that pledge, tomorrow is going to be a great day moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ted.
Thanks, Randy.
Really appreciate you sharing your story with us. I mean, how often do you see a firefighter and a police officer in the same room and saying the same things? And I say that in jest because there's a brotherhood in the first responder community between fire, police, and ambulance. And, you know, we often have to face people's worst day every day. And we help out when we can, but we have to understand that, like Tad just illustrated, we all have a story. And hopefully back home, the students with us today learned something from you, how to develop empathy, to think about how would you feel if you were in Tad's shoes growing up, or if you were one of the people subjecting him to the behaviors that he was subjected to. So these are things that we need to think about today. It's not about just wearing a pink shirt, showing up to a hockey game, listening to an online event, and thinking we're going to cure things. It's about developing empathy. It's about strategies that will help you. It's about making a move for kindness, a move for good, resolving conflicts without often that ugliness. It's about respecting differences in opinion. You know, fire's the best. Tad thinks police is the best, you know, but we have a difference in opinion, but we respect each other because we were called to do different things, and we view the world through a different lens, just like all of you do. And every organization, whether it's police, fire, Calgary Hitmen, your school, no organization is perfect. And even when we celebrate days like this, we realize there's work internally to do, but there's also work to do out in the world. And the way we do that is by empowering you with information and knowledge to love yourself, but also to love others. There's another organization called Hockey Canada that put out a video called The Code, and they want to talk a little bit to you about how they view the End Bullying, Be Brave event.
From the moment we first put on skates, hockey teaches us integrity, character, sportsmanship, teamwork, perseverance, leadership, and above all, respect. Some call it hockey's code. It governs how we play, how we respond to adversity, how to win and lose with dignity. But what happens when we're off the ice? Outside the arena? These are things in life hockey's code doesn't cover. But maybe it should. Maybe hockey's code should become our code. The code. So that our conduct on a screen says as much about our character as our conduct on the ice. So that we stand up for those who need our help, like we stand up for our teammates. Because together, If we bring good sportsmanship on and off the ice, we can help end bullying.
We can help end bullying. We can help end bullying.
We can help end bullying.
Respect to me means, caring for one another, being kind to one another, treating others how you want to be treated, really. When you think about respecting someone else, that's what comes to mind for me.
I think definitely being genuine and just caring for others, no matter what's going on in their life, and just kind of taking the extra step to be there for everybody.
Respect to me, I think someone giving them the credits due for the person they are and how they act and treat other people around them. And it's not something you just get, it's earned over time. That's what respect is to me, and I think for a lot of people.
Thanks again to Hockey Canada and the Hitmen for sharing their thoughts on today's event. And speaking of sharing, I'm standing in front of the kindness wall where students just like yourselves have been sharing messages using the hashtag #endbullying and hashtag #TELUSBeBrave. And we want to share with you, everyone listening, some of the messages that we were given today. So I'm just going to read one here, just picking it off the wall at random. This one says, "In bullying, it's the impact on the victim that matters, not the intent of the aggressor." And that's a really amazing message. I've done workshops on bullying, for the last 10 years or more, schools all across Canada. And oftentimes, even when we're presenting a workshop and someone says a mean comment at the lunch hour, you'll always hear someone say the word, "just kidding." And you say it so fast, it almost sounds like one word, "just kidding." And just kidding, when you say something mean to someone, doesn't forgive you. And just because your intent wasn't to hurt them, oftentimes some of the words you use hurt them and they just don't want to show it. So it's not your intent, but it's what happens to the person you're harming. So you want to think about your actions, think about your words. Let's pick another one here. This one, what does it say? It says, "No act of kindness goes to squander. Even the smallest amount can change someone's day." So even the smallest action of kindness towards someone can change their day. And I'll go further to that. I'll say it can change their life. Sometimes, as I mentioned before, when Tad as a CPS police officer, when myself as a firefighter go to someone's worst day, we always respond in the worst day of people's lives. Even the smallest act, can change someone's life. I've many times in a motor vehicle accident, when someone is freezing or shivering in this minus 37 degree weather, I've recalled times where I've gone back to the truck and just grabbed a blanket for someone and covered them with a blanket while they're waiting for whatever happens. Just a small act like that can change someone's life. And you have the power to make those small acts, even a smile, holding a door for someone, saying a kind word to someone. All those little things can change someone's life. Even online, as we mentioned before, helping someone out if they're going through a rough day can change people's lives. Nothing goes to waste. Let's see another one here. This is a good one. Never look down on anyone unless you're helping them up. From my days as playing football with the Calgary Stampeders, I always thought about this example. Whenever the quarterback got tackled, the quarterback is always probably the best athlete, best looking athlete on the team, highest paid person. But even when he gets knocked down on the ground, as capable as he is, his teammates go and pick him up. Okay? And that shows teammate, that shows community. And you could be that person, whether it's in your classroom, whether it's in your home, whether it's in your workplace. You can be that person that helps people up when they get knocked down. Doesn't matter who they are or what their standing is in that social setting. You can be someone that helps them up. Let me read a couple more here. I like this one. This says, "In a world where you can be anything, be kind." Many of you don't know what you're going to do in life. You don't know if you're going to be a police officer, maybe a Calgary Hitmen player, maybe a teacher like the wonderful teachers that are joining us today, maybe a firefighter like myself. You don't know. I didn't know when I was your age. But one thing you can choose to be every day is be kind while you're on your journey to figuring out who you are. And like we said, that costs you nothing, and it only makes the world around you better. Okay, so with that, I want to introduce our next guest speaker who's going to have a little video, and it's Abby Graham from Ontario. And Abby Graham started the Kindness Pledge at the Wellington District High School back home in Ontario, and it's really a call to action. It's a call that aligns with what we're trying to have you all do today. Like we said, we're not changing the world in one day, but it's a call for each and every one of you to make a difference in your communities, just like Abby did.
Hi, I'm Abby Graham, and I'm the founder of the Kindness Pledge. The Kindness Pledge was a pledge that I started in my community to get individuals, groups, and businesses promising to make our community more kind and inclusive. The idea of the pledge was started after an assault took place at my school involving an individual who identified as transgender being assaulted by another student. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Plenty of other things happened throughout the year that made me want to take action. I needed to create something that would reach our outside community and not just the kids in the high school. I wanted to reach out to the adults in my community and make them pledge to do better. Because hate is a learned behavior. No one is born hateful. It's something you learn from your outside community. And I wanted to make sure I was doing my part to stop it. The pledge is a 3-step process. The first one is reading a short informational packet about what does it mean to be a kind and inclusive community. Whether it's asking someone their pronouns, whether it's acknowledging your privilege or unconscious bias. Something so small like that can make a world of a difference in somebody else's life. And that's so important that we make everyone feel like they belong, because everyone does belong. Step 2 is you read and sign the pledge. And step 3, the last step, is just a step to get the wheels turning in your head. What are you going to do to make your community more kind and inclusive? What are you going to take from that short informational packet, and how are you going to implement it into your daily life? I myself have been a victim of bullying, and I know how awful and how isolating it can feel. Not only have I had bullying in my past, but even after starting something like this, I've experienced a lot of in-person bullying, but also cyberbullying. And it just keeps me going that I know that this pledge will hopefully reach people and let them know that they're not alone and their community wants to support them. The idea of the pledge is to support marginalized groups in this area, or in any area, is to support them and lift them up and let them know that their community is behind them and that we want positive change to happen. So I encourage all of you to take the pledge. Visit www.kindnesspledge.ca to take yours today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abby, for sharing your message in the Kindness Pledge. And, you know, I was listening to Abby's message, and what really resonated with me is not only was she experiencing bullying before she began this journey, but even afterwards. And I thought sometimes it takes more courage to do the right thing when the right thing is the only thing you should do. And I think in Abby's case, she's such a courageous young woman for doing this in her community, and hopefully it inspires people around her and across the country to do the right thing when it's called to do. So thank you, Abby, for sharing your message and the Kindness Pledge. We're about at the end of our event today. I want to make sure we thank Tad Milmine for sharing his message. It was the first time I heard Tad's message and his story, and I'm truly inspired by how he's become such a resilient member of the community and how he uses all the hardship that he's been through to help inspire so many others and create change in the world that he lives in. So thank you, Tad. I want to thank TELUS for sponsoring this event 5 years running, and for providing the content that allows us to share information and resources with teachers and students out there. So be sure to check out the TELUS Wise programming. It's all free, and it's all things that can help you both in your classroom and in the cyber world where many of you live when you're not in school. I want to thank my employer, the Calgary Fire Department, for supporting this event. TELUS Be Brave is something that is near and dear to my heart. So when your bosses say, hey, this is something we want to get behind as well, it's very encouraging. And of course, we wouldn't be here without the wonderful team at the Calgary Hitmen who have put this event on for 4 years. The last year, like I said, even when they weren't playing hockey, they put on an event that was hosted or witnessed by 45,000 students across Canada, 700 classrooms. So with that, I want to personally invite you to the Calgary Hitmen's game tonight. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. It's the annual TELUS Be Brave game. They're going to be handing out pink rally towels for all of you in attendance. And if you get here between 5 and 6 p.m., there's going to be special priced food items. I think it's like $5 hamburgers. So I promise you, I'm going to be here. Tad's going to be here. We're probably going to be eating some hamburgers. We look forward to seeing you. Remember, it's a $12 ticket. So it's even cheaper than on their family day. We'd love to see all of you in attendance wearing pink and just supporting our Hitmen who have been such great ambassadors in our city of Calgary. And again, my final thanks is to all of you, teachers and students, for taking time out of your day to recognize how important this is and how important you can be in creating change in your community, whether it's your school, your sports team, your workplace, or even in your own home. I want to thank you so much and look forward to meeting some of you tonight.